How about them Cowboys? Angry Cowboys fan. Born to battle. Some just means we never sell. America's team through thick and thin. When the sun shines bright, that's where we win. Angry Cowboys fan.
What's going on, Cowboys Nation and angry Cowboys fans around the world? Y'all know who it is. It's your man, the Angry Cowboys fan. And I just got done watching a podcast with Ndamukong Suh, and it was extremely informative when it comes to team building, when it comes to team structure, and when it comes to the pecking order of the salary cap and the way certain taxes can affect the player's overall earnings. On the podcast No Free Lunch with Ndamukong Suh, he really put the listener up on game when it comes to the NFL, the pay scale, how players live paycheck to paycheck, and how the roster construction of an NFL team can dictate the certain contract amounts in the league and how those players could affect the organization in the quest for a Super Bowl. He even spoke about team building through the eyes of Jerry Jones. I mean, it was extremely eye-opening, Cowboys Nation. But the episode was so good that I ended up clipping 5 clips from the podcast to give my raw and uncut on. But for the original video, for the regular viewers, I'm going to break down the 3 clips from that podcast. For the channel members, you get all 5. You get all 5 with the raw and uncut at the end. So if you want all 5, make sure you become a member of the Angry Cowboys Fan YouTube channel. So, Angry Cowboys fans, let's go ahead and take a listen to the first clip where Ndamukong Suh is asked who's really responsible in building a culture within the organization. So let's go ahead and take a listen to that so we can come back and discuss it. Roll the clip.
Yeah, great question. I think that culture that's able to maintain is led by the head coach. Well, first and foremost, the owners. And then obviously GMs, and then you move down to truthfully the head coaches. And then the head coach permeates that throughout their team with their leaders, which are your cornerstones of your team. So obviously that's typically a quarterback, typically an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman, a wide receiver, a linebacker, a DB. There's probably about anywhere from 5 to 10 guys that are consistent. And also that throws in the kicker, the punter, and maybe a long snapper as well. And those guys, because the punter kicker are very important in long snapper because they shape up the special team side of things, which are very important, which also takes shape with your special teams coach, your strength and conditioning coach. Like, so all of that core of probably about 10 to 15 guys, both coaches and players, are what shape that culture of your team, in my opinion.
All right, Cowboys Nation. Who is responsible for the culture first and foremost? The ownership of the team. The ownership establishes what the culture is going to be, and then it trickles down to the coaching staff and then the players. The players are not responsible in dictating what the culture is for the team. A common misconception that I continue to hear is how it's up to the players to build the culture of the team when it's absolutely not. It's up to the ownership to establish a culture for an organization. It's up to a coaching staff to establish the identity of the team, while it's up to the players to establish the physicality of said team. Now let's go ahead and take a listen to clip 2 so we can come back and talk about it. Now go ahead and roll that clip.
It's a big difference, and that's what fans don't understand. It's like, man, there's guys that are, again, still living paycheck to paycheck because $100,000 and you're getting hidden with the jock tax and cut that in half. Like you're playing for New York. That's $50,000 that you're bringing home. Think about that. Think about that. Let's just bump it up to 200 grand. You're living in New York or / New Jersey. You're making 200 grand. And you cut that in half, that's 100 grand, but they're expecting you to live like the superstar that's making 40 million a year.
Look,
that ain't mathing.
Danny Sellers that lives in New York. I didn't know there was a New York tax until I looked at my check. You know, we on this show we talk about like, hold on, why did it, with the players? And it's funny when you listen to the show, it's like, how would you not know about the taxes and stuff like that? Me, Danny Sellers, worked on a financial show, went to business school. Like, I'm like, there's a New York tax. What is this? A couple $100 coming out? It's just
hey, man,
you don't know if you don't know.
People don't realize when we play in New York, I'm playing for Miami. I'm going up and playing the Jets. Mm-hmm. I get taxed in Jersey. I get taxed in New York multiple days because there's a thing called duty days as well that you got to calculate. So you better have a good CPA.
That's crazy.
Cowboys Nation, I've talked about the jock tax on this channel before. When the Micah Parsons situation went down, I spoke about the jock tax having to do with, him going to the Green Bay Packers and how he kind of broke even instead of getting more money. But I also talked about it when it comes to George Pickens and his contract situation. There's a lot of things that comes into play when a player signs with a team. Very seldom do you see a player making their financial situation worse unless they truly want an exit out of an organization. I feel that some players get hustled into going to another team while those taxes maximize because of their emotions. Kind of shot themselves in the foot. You know what I'm saying? One player comes to mind, Cowboys Nation. All right, Cowboys Nation, let's go ahead and dive into the third clip so we can come back and unpack this raw and uncut.
When different teams had different philosophies and teams are like also, hey, man, I'm going to just deal with the luxury tax, for lack of better words, and be creative and just pay out the wazoo and have an opportunity to go win a championship here and now in this year. And like you could use that example for LA. Paid Aaron Donald, gave me a nice check, gave some other people a nice check. Aqib Talib, Marcus Peters, like you got all horses top to bottom on your defense. Todd Gurley, Jared Goff, Brandon Cooks, like so many deep. Cooper Kupp, like it's deep on that offensive side on both sides of the ball. And so the only place that you're not kind of paying is kind of like special teams, but you're filling them in with draft picks and quality contracts that are here and there that we spoke about earlier to be able to fill out your roster, but you're heavy on both sides. And guess what? Double duty for offensive lineman, defensive lineman. You're going to have to pay special teams because we didn't have no money to go get some specialists from that standpoint. So,
Cowboys Nation, that whole luxury tax that he's talking about, it's not an official tax, but it is a tax that an ownership, a GM, organization pays when they really want another player, another weapon. Kind of like the George Pickens situation for our Dallas Cowboys. I know I'm thinking this way, that Jerry's willing to pay that luxury tax in order to have a great offense. If you're going to have a great offense each year, you're going to have to eventually pay them, Cowboys Nation. If they play at the top of their position, Jerry Jones is going to have to pay that money in order to keep them. But y'all ready for this raw and uncut? Y'all ready? Let's get it. Get ready for the Angry Cowboys fans, raw and uncut.
Man, keeping it real, man, keep it real, that's real.
I tell you, Cowboys Nation, I sat and I watched this podcast episode 3 times in order to really comprehend the nuggets that Ndamukong Suh was giving his audience. There was so much to get from that podcast episode to gain a little bit more clarity when it comes to the way the Dallas Cowboys roster is and can be constructed. Suh went to name the roster spots that require top dollar on the salary cap, and that's the quarterback, the wide receiver, the left tackle, the defensive tackle, linebacker, edge, and DB. A lot of the remaining spots get filled with affordable contracts, not necessarily best players. With the Dallas Cowboys, you've seen Jerry Jones fill certain roster spots with less talented players because his contract is affordable. But we sometimes are able to see that same roster spot get filled with a great player past his prime at an affordable price. Not all positions will get paid top dollar due to the National Football League's hierarchy in the positional market. Now it's up to your scouting department to find the best players at the best cost. It's not feasible for a GM to go out there and acquire top 5 talent at every position. It's just not going to happen, Cowboys Nation. There's going to be those role players that we could call depth pieces that'll flesh out the remainder of this roster. But I was having a conversation with a friend about where a football team could be the weakest link on the team, where a defense could have a weak link but still be able to function and be successful. And my answer was the DB room. Look at it this way, Cowboys Nation. Let's say you have an all-pro at defensive tackle. You have a Pro Bowler at edge rusher and a quality edge rusher on the other side, and they get after the quarterback a lot. They have a huge pressure rate, a great pressure rate when it gets to go to the quarterback, but they also are able to slow down the run. What does that do? It puts the opposing offense behind the sticks, causing for them to have to pass, right? If you have a great pass rush, those opposing offensive lines, they're not going to be able to hold up long enough for the routes to develop, limiting the passes that go over the top while also not allowing sophisticated routes time to develop. If that was the case, why would a defense need 2 all-pros at the cornerback position and a Pro Bowler at the safety position when the ball's not going to come their way because it doesn't have enough time to do so? What I'm saying is some parts of both sides of the ball are going to have lesser talented players, but it depends on what the coaching staff can extract from said talent in order to put the talented players in a position to be more successful. Sometimes putting all that attention on the talented players puts less attention on your less talented players to give them one-on-one looks. More ways for the coaching staff to scheme the role players into more advantageous situations out on the field. Not all these players are going to get paid top money, Cowboys Nation. Some will have to try their luck with another team to get the money that they're looking for, but it's a dog-eat-dog world out in free agency, meaning that some players are going to get humbled real quick. Some of those players don't get the money that they're looking for, so they got to crawl back to the Dallas Cowboys. That's when they get put on vet minimum deals. I've noticed one thing, Cowboys Nation. One thing a number of Cowboys fans do is they'll talk about how much this person's getting paid, how much that person's getting paid, and they'll not want to spend top dollar on a player, but they'll complain when a player's acquired for a bargain bin price. Like right now, some will complain about having to pay George Pickens $36 million if that's the price that he comes out at, but they'll complain and they'll talk about going to the bargain bin at Walmart to fill out our roster. Which one is it? Do you want to play these guys top money, or do you want to go bargain bin shopping? You can't have it both ways. And when a player like CJ Goodwin's acquired for the vet minimum, people will talk about not shopping at Temu for our players while forgetting the special teams coverage that CJ Goodwin gives the Dallas Cowboys. They'll say that George Pickens costs too much, but they'll forget that you're not paying anything for your wide receiver 3, your wide receiver 4, your running back, and as of right now, your offensive line. Right now, there's only one major contract on your offensive line, and that's Tyler Smith. Everyone else, they're on a rookie deal or a reconstructed team-friendly contract like Terrence Steele. So it's up to the coaches and the scouting department to find the talent that will give them the best bang for its buck. A high-quality talent at a fraction of the cost. Every team does it, Cowboys Nation. The difference is the players that those scouting departments refer to their owners and GMs as opposed to the Cowboys. So is it a cheap thing, or is it a scouting department thing for our Dallas Cowboys? You guys be the judge. But this has been your man, the Angry Cowboys fan. Cowboys Nation, did you get the same type of nuggets that I got from that whole segment? Do you understand why Jerry Jones can't just go out there and pick up every top name that hits the open market? Y'all know how we do. We always talk about it in the comments section. If you're digging this content and you want to help the channel reach its current goal of 20,000 subscribers, drop a like on this video, share it with anybody that you know is a Dallas Cowboys fan, and if you're on your mobile device and you haven't used them up yet, make sure you hype this video. Doing so will help get the content out to Dallas Cowboys fans. They'll come over to the Angry Cowboys Fan YouTube channel and want to become Angry Cowboys fans themselves. And if you are DC for life and you wish that Jerry Jones would just understand that he's on the hot seat for this team's culture issues, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell to be notified whenever I go live, release a video, podcast episode, or film breakdowns. You can catch the Madden 26 or College Football 26 gameplay on the other channel, the Angry Cowboys Fan Gaming Channel. I'll make sure I put the link to that as well as the gamer tag in the description. Just dropped a Mortal Kombat video. If you're into Mortal Kombat, make sure you check it out. But I love when former players get on podcasts and they inform the fans of the ins and outs of the organization when it comes to the players being in the league and how much they're getting paid. It's super dope, Cowboys Nation. That's a position that a majority of us will never see. So it's refreshing when we get the perspective from a guy who's actually played at the highest level. Instead of sitting up there bashing current players with his commentary, Ndamukong Suh is educating the fans on football, the ins and outs of football, something that the 3 and 4 letter networks should kind of take notes on. But this has been your man, the Angry Cowboys Fan. Y'all enjoy your week, and I'm out. Dang, Angry Cowboys fan, you done made it through the entire video. But if you want more content, you can definitely go to this video right here. Or if you want the latest episode of the Angry Cowboys Fan Podcast, you can go right here. But whatever you do, like, share, and subscribe to the channel, but remain DC for life.